Hi guys, welcome back aboard the 44-foot hurricane damaged catamaran project boat. This week we're going to continue getting set up here in the yard so we can start the mountain of work that's ahead of us to get this boat back on the water. I need some kind of mobile workshop, somewhere where I can store materials and keep my tools locked away. This power station, the Ampace Andes 1500, is going to be the beating heart of that workshop. We've already found a used and somewhat abused 6x12 enclosed trailer that I can use for the workshop. It's currently being stored at a friend's house while we're waiting for the yard to move stuff around so we can back it in under the catamaran. A little bit later in this video, we'll head over to our friend's house and start building out the workshop. Before we head over there, I want to get our Andes 1500 power station here charged so we can bring some power with us. But also before we go, it would be really awesome to get the first of our security cameras installed here on the catamaran so we can just keep an eye on the place. In the spirit of full transparency, I should mention that Ampace is the sponsor of this week's video and that they sent us the Andes 1500 free of charge. What got me excited about this power station is the fact that it comes with a built-in 2400 watt pure sine inverter that boosts up to something like 3600 watts. That means I would be hard pressed to find anything here on the boat, including all of my tools, that this thing won't be able to power. Add to that the 1462 watt hour lithium iron phosphate battery that's built in, and that means I can power something like my random orbital sander for well over 3 hours straight with just the power stored in the power station. There's also a small mountain of USB ports on the front of this that will be super helpful for charging all of our camera gear. I think this thing is going to be pretty awesome. By small mountain of USB outlets, I mean 4 USB-A outlets and 2 USB-C outlets, in addition to the 4 AC outlets. There are kind of 3 reasons why I wanted a power station for this refit. First off, if the power goes out here in the yard, we won't even notice. I can still continue working and being productive. The second reason is very similar to the first reason in that during this refit, there are going to be things here on the catamaran I don't want to have shut off if somebody accidentally pulls our cord out of the electrical box up at the yard workshop. That is stuff like our fridge. It would suck to get here and all our food had spoiled. It's also stuff like our internet, mainly because all the security cameras on the boat will be dependent on the internet to work. As far as the third reason, last but not least, in the very near future, I'm going to be installing a little mini split air conditioning unit for cooling down the inside of the boat to deal with the heat. And I think the single 15 amp cord coming from the yard here, it would be hard pressed to deal with the air conditioning unit as well as all of the tools and charging and stuff like that. So with the help of the Andes 1500 here, we should have all the power we'll need. You may not have heard the name Ampace before, and they're certainly not the first people to come out with a power station. They've been in the market for a few years, something like that, but they do have something going for them. They are a joint venture between 2 of the giant companies in the high-end lithium-ion battery market. As such, they have about 20 years of experience, cutting-edge technology, and really rigorous quality control standards. So this thing should be pretty awesome. I think Ampace has struck a really good balance between keeping this thing relatively compact, also having it be somewhat lightweight, but still having enough battery capacity in there to actually power some stuff. They have this port over on the side here for connecting additional batteries, which I think that might be something I want to do, just because sometimes I do sand for more than 3 hours, but that is a really nice feature to have. That feature is also mentioned here in the manual. On the front there's a big display here, a tiny light up here, that's kind of a cool feature, and then you have all the aforementioned USB ports down here. There's also a car socket, and then there are these 2 guys, which I have never seen those before. Apparently they are DC 5521 outputs. Around the back here there is another connection that I am really excited about, because apparently this thing has a built-in controller for charging with solar. According to the specs here, you can add up to 600 watts worth of solar. That is really awesome because that means we can slap 1 or 2 solar panels on top of the trailer and truly have it be a mobile workshop. We're currently sitting at 25% state of charge, but this thing should be super quick to charge. It has an 1800 watt charger that should charge the built-in battery in under an hour. My little charging time lapse here didn't turn out too well because the display on the Andes turned off, but we did charge to 100% in well under an hour. And also keep in mind that charging here, we are at the end of the world's longest extension cord of somewhat questionable integrity. We picked up a couple of these LED lights from Costco yesterday to install in the trailer. But I think these might be perfect for demonstrating something. This demonstration is going to get a little bit loud because we need to load up the Andes. With the Andes loaded up, I ran down the battery a little bit so it started charging again. And then I disconnected the AC power, and as you can see here, the lights barely even flickered. That means by running our little 5G internet box, our security cameras, and also the fridge off of the Andes 1500, if or when we lose power, those devices, they'll never see it. They'll just keep running. Actually, these lights, they look pretty good on camera. We might just swing by Costco and pick up a bunch more for work lights here inside of the catamaran. I was hoping this was going to be the case, but I wasn't completely sure because the manual didn't mention it. But I just downloaded the Ampace app and I paired that with our device here. And that was super easy. Then it popped up and asked me for Wi-Fi to connect the Andes to. So that means I can use the app here to monitor this thing when we're not at the catamaran. That is awesome. Enough yammering on for now. Let's head over to Dave's house and start building the interior of our workshop trailer, including a nice spot for our power station.
Here we are at our new mobile workshop, also what I've been deeming as the Spiffinator 3000, but right now it's parked at our friend Dave's house, also known as Sailing Santa, and today we are going to start working on it and hopefully by the end of the day have the layout roughed out. She's a well-loved 6x12 trailer. We got a really good deal on her. We picked it up near Tampa, but it is exactly what we need. As you can see, we have some of the new additions already inside, but I think a real perk is that she came with this nice husky toolbox and it's perfect condition. We went and picked up our OSB this morning and we got a little makeshift workshop tent going on over here, so now we just have to get to work. Dave just asked me if I know what OSB stands for. Okay, but shitty? I don't know. What does it stand for?
Orchestrated strand board.
Okay. Okay. Orchestrated strand board.
Of course, OSB wasn't really what I wanted for this. I wanted plywood, but I wanted decent quality plywood. And the Lowe's we went to, they wanted, it was $65 for a somewhat decent sheet of plywood. That's just too much. But I've got a loose plan for what we'll build in the trailer. Up here is a top-down view, so as you can see there's a big workbench over here that kind of wraps around the nose. We're going to have a drill press back there. The fridge should fit under the table over here, and then if we consult the plan here over there on this side, we'll leave those toolboxes where they are because those are right over the wheels, and then we'll add more storage here. The reason for the air compressor being here now is because I want to make sure we build a little area where it can sit here, because that's going to be awesome for de-dusting once I've been sanding fiberglass. We also have some measurements for other stuff I want to make sure that there's room for. So yeah, this is not really going to be a super gold-plated mobile workshop. We're using OSB for one, but also I don't want to spend a month building out this trailer. I just want to get it done relatively quickly. Armed with my loose plan, we set to work. We picked this fridge because it was short enough to fit under a standard height high workshop table, which according to Google is around 37 to 39 inches. First, we placed the supports for the table surface on the side of the trailer. Ava got a chance to use our fancy new miter saw for the first time, and I learned that in the infinite wisdom of freedom units, a 2x2 is not actually 2x2 inches. Yay for fractions. We had barely gotten started before we needed to take a break to participate in last week's live premiere of the This Boat is Finally Ours video. Luckily, with our T-Mobile 5G box and the Ampace, we had a super fast and stable internet connection. The rough out continued and we were finally able to get the first bit of table surface installed. Dave had a little air-powered nailer we borrowed, and our tiny air compressor did a good job of running it. The Andes 1500 had absolutely no issues powering the compressor. I had never used a nailer before, and it was really cool to see how much it sped up our progress. Everything got glued with construction adhesive and nailed together. Very different from what I'm used to working aboard boats. In the last 10 years of doing boat work, I don't think I have used a single nail. And again, I apologize for my choice of headwear. I promise I am not intentionally trying to turn into Florida Man. This is very much a case of function over form. Getting sweat in your eyes is nobody's favorite, I'm sure. Ta-da! I know it's not much. It's just a bit of a roughed out workshop, but at least we have a nice table, we have some storage, and yes, you can see there's some blue tape in here now. That's because we're almost ready for paint. The astute viewer might have noticed that there is no storage here. We've also removed the two toolboxes. The toolboxes are gone because we're going to be painting. They're sitting right there. And the reason that we haven't built any shelving next to the toolboxes is right there. Dave had these really awesome shelves here that he wasn't using, so we're going to use them in the workshop. We've been using the Ampace for powering the fridge, the air compressor, a fan, and a bunch of other stuff. And so far, it's done a really good job. And we're at 31% battery right now.
This thing is looking pretty sturdy, pretty spiffy, and I can't wait to get some paint on it.
As far as paint, because this is not a boat, we picked some up at Home Depot. I never thought I was going to buy paint at Home Depot. It is the next morning and our paint from last night should have cured now. This place is starting to look pretty nice. Now Ava had the bright idea of adding trim just like aboard Athena, so we'll add dark trim to the fronts of everything just so it kind of looks like Athena. To do that in an easy way, we would have to have a table saw and a thickness planer. But that is something we want to get for the catamaran. We just don't have it yet, so we'll hold off a little bit on the trim. The trim is not just for looks. It's mainly to protect the fragile edges of the OSB here, which, yeah, like I said, this wasn't my first choice, but it was the cheapest choice. Also, we want to get some kind of laminate or something on top of this, just to have it be a little bit more hard-wearing. As far as today, it'll be nice to get the shelves in there, get some lights put up. I think that's going to be really awesome. And also, for the last 3 years, I've been looking for somewhere to hang my YouTube award. And what better place than in the workshop? I mean, I didn't put this thing up on the boat because it's got very sharp corners and we couldn't really find a good spot for it. But how about somewhere like right there? Now, this is probably not gonna survive driving, but we could put some Velcro behind there or something and it would probably be good. But yeah, ta-da! A small bit of feedback for YouTube. Your buttons are not super resistant to saltwater corrosion. There's already a bit of a rust or something forming on here. We, and by we I mean Dave and Ava, moved the shelves into the trailer. Earlier in the day we picked up some pipe clamps that looked like they would be good for securing the shelves. With 4 of those in place, the shelves felt rock solid. If this trailer is a rockin', don't come a knockin'. I'm not a super paranoid guy, I'm just mildly paranoid. So we're gonna add a security camera here inside of the trailer also. And reason number 17, that it is kind of nice to have the Andes 1500 here. We can power this electrical fan, which means the inside of the trailer is not a sauna, it's just a sweat lodge. This particular camera does have a battery inside of it, but you can also hook it up to power, so that is what we'll do. I've got the cord for that on the catamaran already, but for now we can use the Andes here to charge our battery. I am pretty sure this is not gonna be much of a deterrent, but we might as well just put the sticker on there. We've decided where we want to install the spiffy Costco lights. There's some old 12-volt lighting here that kind of infringed on that territory, so we removed that. And then I just wanted to install this switch here on the wall again, because we removed that prior to painting. But there's something a little bit odd about this. I should preface this by saying that this trailer used to be owned by an electrician. I didn't notice this yesterday, but this switch here is connected to, well, absolutely nothing. I think the conventional wisdom is don't buy the mechanic's car, and I think we can extend that to don't buy the electrician's trailer. This is definitely what used to power the 12-volt LEDs in here, but yeah, it's not a big deal. I'm not gonna use it anyways. I don't know. My subscribe switch seems to be out of order. Maybe you guys could check the subscribe button to see if that works. With that bit of horrible humor out of the way, we got started installing the LED lights. We simply screwed them into the black square tubing. There was some confusion about the lights on the starboard side of the trailer, but in the end we ended up with just having one instead of two. We still need to do some cable management for the lights. It's looking a little sloppy right now, but let's see if... Wow, that is a lot of light. These lights are gonna make it a lot easier to shoot video here in the workshop. Now let's get the Ampace down in its new home, right down here. Perfect. It just has to go in sideways and then go upright. You know, it's a safety feature. To give myself plenty of outlets, I picked up one of these giant things at Harbor Freight and drilled a bunch of holes in the back of my little storage areas to run cables. Dave had this little outdoor socket connection doohickey that he wasn't using. This will allow us to connect the trailer to power without leaving it open. It's been a busy few days, but yeah, I think this workshop is starting to look pretty dang spiffy. Having now spent 5 days using the Ampace Andes 1500, I can honestly say that I really like it. We have had 0 issues, and I think you can say we haven't done it any favors. It's been sitting here in the Florida heat, powering the fridge, the air compressor, the lights, the little fan, and also charging our Bosch batteries. I really like the size and the weight of this thing. Of course, it's always nice with more battery capacity, but this thing is portable. I think if you go much higher on battery capacity, you're going to be flirting with the classification of draggable rather than portable. As you can see, we're only charging with 800 watts right now. That's because I've disabled the A-Boost feature. I did that last night aboard Athena as a little bit of a test. It's a really nice feature to have in case you're charging the power station aboard, for instance, a boat with a smallish inverter and you just don't have the capacity to provide the full rated 1800 watts. You can just drop it down to roughly the 800 watts instead. As you can see, I haven't installed solar yet, and that is on purpose because I got to thinking that a lot of the trailer is going to be shaded by the catamaran, so I just want to get the trailer to the catamaran so we can see how much shading is actually going to be an issue before we start installing any solar panels. As far as the built-in inverter in the Andes 1500, it's rated at 2400 watts or boost up to 3600, which has been plenty for everything we've done here. The interesting thing is it's actually rated at 95% efficiency, which is higher than our Victron Energy inverters, so that's kind of cool. Last but not least, I wanted to mention that I thought it was really cool that they used lithium iron phosphate cells in the Andes 1500. That's the same battery chemistry we have aboard Athena and aboard most boats, and the reason for that is safety. It is the safest of the lithium ion chemistries. It doesn't have quite the same energy density as some of the other chemistries, but it is much safer. And for something that's going to potentially get hauled around and banged up a little bit, I think that is a really good idea. Ampace has been kind enough to provide me with a discount code to give to you guys. So if you want to order an Andes 1500, you can get 10% off if you order it on Amazon with the discount code down in the description and the first pinned comment. But the offer might expire soon, so you should hurry. Next week we will get back to the boatyard. We have a small army of volunteers that are going to show up to help us tidy up and also get rid of the mast. So that is going to be exciting. And that is going to be the end of this week's video. We hope to see all of you guys back in the salvage yard next week for some tidying up.
Yep. And we want to say a big thank you to Dave and Olive for letting us co-opt their yard and their lives for the past couple days. Thank you so much, guys.
Yep, hopefully we'll get the trailer moved to the yard sometime soon. But yeah, as always, feel free to leave a comment down below. And don't forget, if you've enjoyed this video,
Please remember to leave a like.
see you!
And the beautiful trash can as our podium.
It's half full, not half empty.
Exactly.